joining us for the West Irondequoit Central PTSA's Candidates Night for our May 2024 West Irondequoit Board of Education election. The Board of Education in West Irondequoit is composed of 7 community residents who are elected by voters for 3-year terms. The Board of Education is the official policy-making body for the school district. The board's responsibilities include establishing an educational philosophy for the district, adopting policies for the operation of the school system, setting goals and objectives that foster educational progress, and developing sound financial plans that balance educational needs and community resources. This election to be held on May 21st is to fill 3 seats on our school board. We have 4 candidates running. West Irondequoit Central PTSA holds Candidates Nights so that voters have an opportunity to learn candidates' backgrounds, views, and qualifications. Thank you very much to our candidates for being willing to volunteer and serve our district, our community, and most importantly, our students. Our candidates received information on the format and questions that they could prepare for. We also solicited questions from the community. It is now my pleasure to introduce our moderator, Amy Thomas, the Executive Director of the Monroe County School Boards Association.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the West Irondequoit Meet the Candidate Night. I want to thank West Irondequoit PTSA, in particular Vice President Erica Kane, for their work in coordinating this event, and the West Irondequoit Technology Team for their work supporting efforts in recording tonight's program and making it available for the community to view online. Before we ask the candidates to give their opening remarks, I'd like to speak to the work of elected board trustees. As said in the title, Board of Education members hold the public trust. While they're locally elected officials, those in our suburban districts are nonpartisan and unpaid. These elected volunteers will need to devote hundreds of hours during their term to learn about their roles and responsibilities. On top of the 12 legislative hours of professional development Board of Education members are required to complete within their first term, members must also become familiar with education law, school finance law, state education department regulations, and ever-changing impact that federal and state mandates have on our public schools. And they must also make sure that they're available to the community by serving on district committees, attending and participating in district functions and events. I want to thank each of our candidates this evening for making a commitment to carry out the duties of a board trustee for the next 3 years, serving the students and community of West Irondequoit. With that said, let's hear more about your candidates this evening and who would like to serve on the West Irondequoit community in this role. As Erica mentioned, we have 4 candidates for 3 open seats. In ballot order, they are Gary Adams, Kevin Schoepfel, Kate Copeland, and Tamara Wall. So candidates, you'll be given 3 minutes to provide an opening statement. We'll then move into prepared and impromptu questions, and you'll finish with no longer than a 2-minute closing statement. I will use the ballot order to begin the questions, but then I'll rotate the questions to make sure that each candidate has the opportunity to respond first. You'll have 2 minutes to answer each question, and I'm happy to repeat any question as needed. Please watch the timekeeper that's right in front of you for a 1-minute time card, followed by a 30-second time card to indicate it's time to wrap up your response. On to the opening statements, we're going to begin with Gary. And Gary, you have 3 minutes.
Thank you. Yeah, my name's Gary Adams. I grew up in the Rochester, New York area. I've lived here my entire life. I moved to the town of Irondequoit about 20 years ago now. I've lived in West Irondequoit since I think it was like 8 years ago, something like that, when my firstborn went to first grade. You know, after high school and whatnot, I went to RIT, got a mechanical engineering degree, worked in business for a little bit, manufacturing, and then went back and got an MBA. Like I said, I have children, so I got 4 children. My oldest, he's currently in Dake, and then he's going to the Irondequoit High School next year. My second oldest, she's in Iroquois, is going to Dake. And then I got 2 currently in Colebrook. The one's going to Dake next year, and the other one's staying in Colebrook. So I'll have a bunch of kids in a bunch of different schools here, right? I'm running for school board, you know, because I think education is important for the children. It's important for the community. Like I said, I got 4 kids in the school district. I believe my background, you know, I'm an engineering manager at Baltimore Richardson Foods. So I got a team of engineers. I think my background, you know, benefits the school board. I do capital planning. I run the capital budget for the plant I'm at. We also do, so that's capital planning, 5-year plan. Also do the budget with the other managers there, create a strategic plan. Part of that's identifying, you know, making sure that we're, you know, doing sound financial planning, right? Because you only get so much money, and making sure that you're spending it right, that you're not wasting money, you know, making sure that you're identifying the assets that are depreciating and kind of picking prioritizing where you want to spend the money. You know, in my role too, I've also oversee on and off the maintenance end of it and the facilities. So that has to do with maintaining the grounds, building expansions. We put in flooring all the time. We redo the roofing, the boilers, you know, things like that. So it's making sure that you know, you get a certain amount of money, you spend it on what needs, you prioritize, and then, you know, because, you know, money's tight, money's always tight, so it's just making sure that you do the best with what you got. I've also deal with hiring process there, hire anything from entry-level folks to maintenance, to finance, to engineers, so I've also helped with identifying, creating training programs, you know, to help get the people what they need to do. So I do have some experience with that. Work with MCC, GCC to create some of those programs. So, you know, I feel like I'd be beneficial to be on the school board, and I appreciate your support. Thank you.
Thanks, Gary. Kevin.
Good evening. My name is Kevin Schoepfel. I have lived in West Irondequoit for 42 of my 45 years. A couple of years when I was first born in an apartment, and then when my wife and I were dating, we had an apartment for a year outside the district. Other than that, I've always been a proud resident of West Irondequoit. I went to West Irondequoit from Colebrook and Iroquois up through the high school. I graduated in 1997. And I've always been very proud of my roots here in Irondequoit. My wife works in the district. I have 2 children in the district. My son is at Dake, going over to the high school here next year. And my daughter is currently at Rogers. She'll be going to Dake in the fall. So very deep in the everyday goings on of the schools these days. My background, I work for the Montgomery County Sheriff's Office. I'm a captain. Currently, I am the zone commander for the east side of the county. So primary patrol operations, I oversee about 50 staff members, civilian and sworn, and the day-to-day operations of the patrol substation. I have worked prior to getting this promotion, I worked as Chief of Staff for Sheriff Baxter. That really gave me a look into the operation of a large organization. The Sheriff's Office is 1,100 or so people. We're currently in the midst of a very large expansion, personnel-wise. I've been part of the strategic planning team, and being his Chief of Staff for 2.5 years gave me a lot of insight to the administrative end of running a large organization. And I've been able to apply those lessons that I've learned from him and his mentorship on some of those things to my day-to-day job running a substation. I think I could apply those same skills to helping run a school district on the Board of Education. Like I said, I'm very, very proud. I want to continue that tradition. The West Irondequoit's always had of a quality education, athletics, the arts, and I think I have what it takes to be able to help bring those programs into the next decade, where my kids will go through and graduate from the school, and the next generation will come up, and it'll be a better place to get an education, to play sports, and to learn all those skills that students need to go off into the world and be successful adults. Thank you.
Thanks, Kevin. Kate, same.
My name is Kate Copeland. My family and I moved to West Irondequoit in 2016, the year that my son turned 4 and the year before my daughter was born. We moved here because we knew that West Irondequoit is the best place for us to raise our family because of the diversity of our community and the excellent quality of our schools. My son Daniel is in 5th grade at Rogers Middle School, and my daughter Hannah is in 1st grade at South Lawn School. They have had outstanding teachers and remarkable educational experiences despite the impact that the pandemic has had on all of our lives. It has been amazing to see how they thrive here and to know what our district is capable of. Since Daniel started kindergarten, I've been an active parent in our schools and an advocate for meaningful family engagement. I volunteered on field trips and in classrooms. I've led PTSA committees and events at Rogers and South Lawn, and I've served as the president of the West Irondequoit Central PTSA since 2022. As PTSA president, I strive to make our organization more diverse, equitable, and accessible, sharing equity and inclusion and best practices with our leadership, creating values-driven policies around book fairs and fundraising, prioritizing support for the relaunch of PASSID, our subcommittee and support team for families of students with extra needs, and partnering with district leadership on creating consistent practices across the district in areas such as facilities use and fall school supplies lists. I've served as a parent representative on numerous district panels and committees, including the 2021 West Irondequoit Strategic Planning Committee, which created the current 5-year plan. And this year I'm very proud of the work that we've done on the West Irondequoit Shared Decision-Making Coordinating Council, where in addition to our annual or biannual review of the 10 school-based plans, we are developing policies to broaden the scope of those committees into true shared decision-making teams in all of our schools. Professionally, I'm a former practicing attorney where I practiced primarily in legal services for low-income clients, and I've worked in the legal publishing industry for the past 14 years, currently managing an editorial team of 20 attorney editors responsible for legal reference materials representing millions of dollars in annual revenue. I'm also a member of the civic design team of the Greater Rochester Parent Leadership Training Institute, which is an organization that teaches civic and leadership skills to caregivers and children, building capacity in parents as advocates for their children and their communities. I'm also the daughter of educators, including a retired public school teacher. It would be my great privilege to build on my service to the community as a member of the West Irondequoit Board of Education.
Thanks, Kate. Tamara.
Hello, my name is Tamara Wall, and I'm a parent leader. That's one of the things that we learn in a program that I recently graduated from. But I am a West Irondequoit resident, have been here. I graduated from IHS class of 2004. I'm also now a parent in the district with 2 children, one which is school age, Eliana Renee, who attends South Lawn School. As far as for my involvement, you will see me often trucking both of my children. I am a single mom, so I have both of my kids often in tow. Some of my involvement within the district has been building rep for the past 2 years for South Lawn School. I'm also an advocacy chair for the West Irondequoit Central PTSA. I'm a parent representative on several of the coalitions, more specifically right now with the diversity coalition that we have for the district, and I'm also a part of the South Lawn School-based planning team. In addition to my district involvement, you will see me also attending field trips. You'll see me in classroom activities. You will also see me throughout the school, just encouraging other parent involvement and accessibility. I also promote diversity in these spaces. I'm also active in our community. I recently completed the Greater Rochester PLTI, or Parent Leadership Training Institute, cohort 11, where I attended with my daughter, where we learned advocacy, civicism, and leadership skills. I currently sit on the board for Rock Acts, which is an advocacy group in the city of Rochester. I'm also on the chair of their education task force. And more recently, I just joined the team for the Children's Agenda, which is an organization centered around making sure that we have adequate education and resources for children in our community. When I'm not doing that, I'm an active member of my church. And also, I'm involved in my children's lives as well. So my daughter's a cheerleader. If some of you may recognize me from Irondequoit Junior Eagles, where I was a flag cheer coach for 2 years with them as well. In addition to my experience with the district and with my children's lives, professionally, I've also managed multiple teams over the last 5 years. At one point, managing 10 supervisors and 150 agents within one of our local call centers. Currently, professionally, I work for a global company where I manage the entire East Coast product support team. So there I have to leverage strategy, I have to manage the technical side of operations, I work cross-functionally with CEOs and other executive leaders. So from those skills, I've been able to pull leadership. I know how to help develop a strategy, I know how to tie groups together, I know how to create trainings, and I can leverage all those skills in my role as a board leader. So I thank you for everyone that supports me, and I'm looking forward to hopefully earning your vote to be joining the West Irondequoit School Board.
Thanks, Tamara. Okay, at this point, we're going to turn to the question and answer portion of the evening. A reminder that answers should not exceed 2 minutes. When there are 30 seconds remaining in the candidate's allotted time, a 30-second notification will be shown to you indicating it's time to start wrapping up your response. When time is up, do we have a card for time is up? Okay. When time is up, a card will be shown. And if not, I will cut you off. Very politely, very politely. Okay. If everyone is ready, we will get started. So Gary, we're going to start in ballot order. And the first question is, what do you see as the major challenge facing public education in general? How do these challenges relate to West Irondequoit?
Yeah, so I think the major challenges facing education in general is, it's the safety of the students and the teachers, right? And it's also, having a sound financial plan, making sure that the money's spent correctly. Education is always important, and that's probably, top, but those are the two challenges. It's the safety of the students and teachers, and making sure you spend the money correctly. And I touch base on my experience with, planning and doing that with financials. But, I work in the food industry, manufacturing foods, so, we're making sure that no one can, breach our facilities, to tamper with any food, putting up security cameras, making sure the doors have safety plans in place, contingency plans, making sure that, we have worst case scenarios in case something does happen. Things like that. So I've experienced doing that. We've put in some infrastructures, working with the IT teams, making sure that, when something does go awry, that everyone knows what to do, everyone's notified, and kind of handle that. And again, with the financial end of it, it's just making sure that we, we're good stewards of the district's money, making sure that we have a good plan, making sure that everything's safe, that the buildings are safe to be in, that the roofs aren't leaking, there's structural integrity there, that the boilers are inspected, that they're running fine, and then just making sure that we, have a plan. So when something, you're spending it correctly and you're not wasting the money, so that you're making sure everything's safe and everything's planned for. So I appreciate your support. Thank you.
Kevin, same question.
First and foremost, I think the hiring and retention of the appropriate amount of highly qualified staff to provide the safety and the guidance that the student body needs. We have a reputation in West Irondequoit for great education and great programs, and we need the people that can carry those forward, fresh ideas and energy. And we need to be competitive in the market just like any other business does, while maintaining fiscal responsibility. It'd be easy to just throw money at people, but that wouldn't, it wouldn't be fiscally responsible to just do that. And it's not just about money. A safe and supportive workplace is also very important. We have one of the best special ed programs in the county, and I think that having the right people in those programs is very important to give the students the support that they need in those programs. We need to continue to foster that as various needs of students, especially coming out of the pandemic. The needs of students continues to grow and become more diverse, and we need to be able to support those different needs that students have. I also think that the emergence of technology and social media is a challenge. When many of us were in school, we were told we'd never have a calculator in our pocket. Well, they were wrong about that. Now kids have mini computers in their pockets. We need to teach them how to responsibly use that technology, especially the social media part. In my line of work, I see a lot of kids that get into various degrees of, I don't want to say trouble, but uncomfortable situations because of poor choices they've made with social media. And I think that a good policy would be to help these students who have not learned all the skills to make some of the harder decisions, and they haven't learned impulse control so much yet. It's good for us to help guide them in that way, because social media and technology is not going away. We need to just embrace it and learn to grow with it. Thank you.
Thanks, Kevin. Kate, same question.
It is certainly a very challenging time for public education, which is built on a challenging premise to begin with. The commitment that we make to all children in our community, that they will be welcomed, nurtured, and educated in our schools, regardless of class, race, gender, disability. As Kevin noted, there are continuing academic and social emotional challenges that reflect the long impact of the pandemic, and it is a time of rapid technological change. I have a 5th grader, and the idea of how cell phones are affecting our kids is personally very scary to me. We know that we are preparing our children for a world that will be at least as different for them as the world is from the one that we grew up in. Safety in schools continues to be a real concern, both physical and emotional safety, as threats of bullying and violence keep us up at night. There's still much to do to ensure that our school curricula is both academically rigorous and culturally responsive, affirming our students and empowering them as engaged learners and community members. And there is always financial pressure on public schools. I see incredible work being done in our district to address these challenges. Our strategic plan specifically addresses curriculum and instruction, the creation of an instructional model, and the ongoing work to incorporate the New York State culturally responsive sustaining instructional framework, educational framework. The district has laid groundwork in restorative practices, which is a powerful foundation for both student safety and belonging, but there's still a lot of work to build that up in our district. Other important work toward the safety in our schools has included a recent comprehensive safety audit, ongoing work in the buildings to address entrances, to build that bridge between Dake and the high school for student safety, and last year's update to the safety and security plan. We must continue to work to ensure that our students and staff are and feel safe and secure in our schools, while making sure that they are also warm and welcoming places. Although the full funding of foundation aid makes a positive difference in the financial health of our district, we have a limited tax base, and our business office is charged with particular frugality in achieving its rigorous goals.
Thanks, Kate. It's tough to get it all in. I know.
There's so much.
Tamara, same question.
So some of the major challenges that I see with education today are definitely with technology, as Kevin called out, social media, but also just making sure that we're keeping up with the changes in technology, parent involvement, so making sure that we have parents that are involved in the schools and in their children's education, safety, both physical and infrastructural, diversity, both for the student level and the teacher level, making sure that we not only have diversity that's that where students are feeling welcome and celebrated, but also that we have teacher diversity and equity, and then also with student behavior and their wellness. So not only addressing challenges with bullying and violence, but also making sure that we're providing them with the foundational skills for social and emotional wellness. How do I see this playing out in our district? So as Kate called out, yes, we definitely are making strides within our district, but we still have work to do. From a technological level, I do feel that a lot of the challenges that we have with social media are starting to bleed into some of the other things. Unfortunately, social media has created a space where children are not being fully equipped with the social and emotional education, the emotional intelligence that they need to be able to cohesively work with their other students or with their teachers. So that is also leading to some of the behavioral challenges that we're experiencing and some of the issues that we're seeing in schools. Sitting on some of the coalitions that we have throughout the district, I can see that the district is working very rigorously to address some of those. What I'm looking forward to is also being able to get insights from other schools and other districts to see how they are tackling some of the same issues, hopefully being able to partner with that. From a teacher diversity lens, I also feel that some of the challenges that we're seeing with safety are also related to lack of diversity there. So I'm also excited to be able to partner with the district leadership to make sure that we are being representative of everyone within the district and that we're addressing those concerns in a way that will foster belonging and safety.
Thanks, Tamara. Okay, for the next question, we're going to begin with Kevin. Kevin, as a member of the Board of Education, what will be your top 2 priorities?
As I mentioned before, being a competitive employer, West Irondequoit has a tradition of excellence. As I said, we need to continue to be an excellent place to work, and having had a big part in the strategic plan with the sheriff's office. I know how hard it is to hire and retain, employees these days. The job market is much different than it was 10 or 20 years ago. So that is one of the things that I really want to, make sure that I'm involved in. And that means, all levels of staff, from, custodial and maintenance to administration and everything in between, to make sure that we have the best of the best as West Irondequoit, in my opinion, always has. Also, safety and security of the buildings, students, staff. West Irondequoit already has a great security program in place. I've seen in the last couple of years some really good infrastructure improvements that I've, at Rogers, for instance, the main entrance. I like the direction that the district has been going with that to maintain the security and the integrity of the secure envelope of the building. It's, from my line of work, unfortunately, I have a different view on safety and security from the outlook that I can't live in a world of probability in my life. I have to live in a world of possibility. And I want to do everything I can to help make sure that it wouldn't be our district on national news as the next tragedy that could have been prevented. So I'm very, very focused on that. And I think that West Irondequoit is already going in that direction, so I'd be excited to be part of that growth.
Thanks,
Thank you.
Kevin. Kate, same question.
As a member of the Board of Education, my top priority is the academic, social, emotional, and physical safety and success of every student in our district, as well as the board's sound financial stewardship of our district and our obligation to the community to propose a balanced budget. Our school district also has a mission statement and a set of core commitments, and we're about to enter year 4 of a 5-year plan, which must guide the decision-making of all of our board members. That said, my 2 personal priorities as a member of the Board of Education will be looking for increased opportunities to engage all families and understanding and pursuing opportunities for legislative advocacy for the benefit of West Irondequoit schools. The first, school has changed a lot since we were kids, and it is a challenge for families to know what their kids are learning and how they can help and how to help their kids when they're struggling. Decades of research show that when children know that their caregivers are part of their school community and partners in their success at school, outcomes improve across all axes: academic, social, emotional, and behavioral. And if our policymaking practices only make space for the input of those who have the time to come attend a meeting during the workday or who already know how to use their voice to make change, then we're not going to make the best policies for all of our students. On the second point, we have a strong tradition of legislative advocacy in West Irondequoit, one that I'm excited about being involved in. The full funding of foundation aid and the ability to provide free school lunches for all of our children represent the outcomes of years of legislative advocacy by our board members. Opportunities for advocacy are ongoing. For example, as the foundation aid formula is studied as provided for in this year's New York State budget, or as limitations in the pre-K funding mechanisms challenge our district as we try to expand that program. Applying my background in law and advocacy, I see lots of opportunities to connect with legislators for the benefit of our kids.
Thanks, Kate. Tamara, same question.
As a member of the West Irondequoit School Board, my 2 primary focuses would be increasing parent involvement, more specifically diversifying the current spaces that we have, and then also while safety and social emotional wellness, all those things are incredibly important, you need funding in order to do that. So that would also be helping to advocate and push for more funding where possible. As far as for the parent involvement, I realize that even all the way up to our board, it's not necessarily reflective of the current state of our district. We definitely have opportunities to have more diverse ideas at the table, so I would push for parent involvement. Also, I understand that there are different things, issues that affect accessibility, childcare, socioeconomic status, time of events. I realize that as a parent myself, a single mom at that it is very challenging to be able to attend a lot of different things, and fortunately I've had people in my corner who've been able to help push me into these different spaces, but not everyone has that, and I want to make sure that we do have a space where parents, all parents, are welcome to the tables and are able to have their voices heard and their children represented. From a legislative side of it, I also understand that funding is incredibly important. So what I'm looking forward to is taking the advocacy skills that I've gained through my different partnerships throughout the Rochester community, looking to also leverage those to advocate myself, not just at the board table, but also outside of it. I realize that as a board member, our work doesn't just end at the time that the board meeting ends, it also extends into other spaces. And so being able to take those skills, going to Albany or other avenues to be able to advocate for those things is something that I'm looking forward to being able to do as well.
Thanks, Tamara. And Gary?
Yeah, my top two priorities if elected would be, the financial well-being of the district, right? I kind of went over that, and also the safety, right? And the safety is not only the buildings and making sure it's sound, but also the safety on the inside too. So that's, bullying, harassment, the safety of the teachers. So doing that is making sure that we just have sound policies in place and robust policies, and making sure that when those policies are broken, that they're just enforced uniform, evenly, fairly, so there's not any special cases. And, just because, someone, weird circumstance, someone gets skated for free kind of deal. So it's just making sure that there's things in place, policies and resources to help children if they're going through something, and making sure it's safe for students and the kids alike. And also with the finances, it's just making sure that, you prioritize. You look at when we spend money in certain areas, you see how effective that was, and then you evaluate if you want to spend money in the next year on that, or if you want to change the way you're going about it. So just making sure that, we fund the projects that we want to fund, that's best for the students, that's best for the district, that's going to make the kids, better citizens and better able to join the job market. Thanks.
Thanks, Gary. Okay, the next question, we're going to begin with Kate. Kate, what is the best way to address differences of opinion on the Board of Education?
So one of the things about me is that I'm all about why. So I kind of want to start with, what does the Board of Education do? So the Board of Education is the official policy-making body for the school district. And it's charged with ensuring that the school district is responsive to the values, beliefs, and priorities of the community so that we can educate our students in the best way possible. It's a team of 7 passionate people who have made a significant investment of time and thought because they care about our kids. Each member of the school board is responsible for bringing their experience, talent, and opinions to the board. And in a district as diverse as West Irondequoit, that will and should be a diverse group of opinions. The members of the board are also then responsible for standing behind the decisions made by the board as the leadership body of the district. Therefore, the best way to take advantage of the differences of opinion on the board is to maintain a board culture of mutual respect, responsibility, trust, and open communication, where members ask good questions, represent their opinions with specifics and data, and listen to each other and to district staff and community members with curiosity and good faith. How board members engage with this decision-making process in public matters. It impacts the culture of the entire district, the quality of the decisions that are made, and the trust community members have in these decisions and in the board and in the district. Board members must have and create meaningful opportunities to be heard, and then must take all the data and discussion to create a consensus in the best interest of our students.
Thanks, Kate. Tamara.
First and foremost, the best way to address differences of opinion on the board is to make sure that it's diverse and reflective of the district that it's supposed to be representing. If you're having people with with similar experiences at the table, it's very difficult to be able to have a change of thought. However, going into board meetings, some of the key characteristics that a strong board needs to be able to deal with difference of opinion are trust, assumption of positive intent, open communication, and a space where people feel psychologically safe to be able to share their experiences and reiterate on what they're saying. I recently took a training where we had to talk about, one of our norms, was asking for permission for first draft. Ever since I learned about that, I realized that that creates a safe space for people to say what they want based off of their experiences, based off of their beliefs, and not be penalized if it may be different than that. That also has created a space for myself where I can openly come into conversations, not necessarily trying to convince anyone of something different, but that I'm able to listen to them try to be empathetic to their point, and then we can have an open and thoughtful conversation. Keeping that in mind, that is how I would address differences of opinion, is with empathy, curiosity, and giving them permission for their first draft. Understanding that in those dialogues is where opinions can sometimes change. Also understanding that in those conversations is where fruit comes out of that. Whether that be change of thought, change of policies, or maybe they'll even change my mind.
Thanks, Tamara. Gary.
The best way to address differences of opinion on the board would be open and honest communication. So it's understanding where everyone else is coming from, where I'm coming from, and kind of coming up with some common ground. Because everyone on the board, including all the candidates up here, they want the best for the students. They want the best for decisions they're making for the West Irondequoit School District. So it's just finding out, what the disagreement is, why is there a disagreement, and using collaboration to come up with a solution that benefits the school district, the students, and everyone on the board. And typically you do it just by understanding where everyone's coming from, working together. Like I said, doing open, honest communication, no surprises, and just working through the differences. And you usually find common grounds. You come up with a win-win solution where everyone's happy and you can meet all the goals. Thank you.
Thanks, Gary. Kevin?
In resolving conflicts and differences of opinion, collaboration, cooperation, and communication. As Gary mentioned, if we're all, working towards the same goal, there's got to be some common ground we can find, and we need to be able to, take all those different perspectives and bring them all to the table and work together to find the commonalities and all those perspectives that work towards that goal that we're trying to reach. And fresh perspectives bring fresh ideas. There's more than one way to skin a cat, as the saying goes. The way I do something is not the way that somebody else would do something. It doesn't mean either way is wrong, but maybe I have a way that is more efficient, maybe they have a way that's more efficient. I'm always up for learning new things. I'm not opposed ever to saying, okay, I see your point, I was wrong about that, or I didn't consider that, and kind of changing my direction as my viewpoint gets changed. So I think those three things, communication, collaboration, cooperation, are what gets the job done in the end. Thank you.
Thanks, Kevin. Tamara, you'll begin with the next question, which is, do you support this year's district school budget? Explain why, and if not, what changes would you make?
So yes, I do support this year's district school budget. I support it because I believe that the current board was able to land on programming, budgetary changes within the district, and also, I support the I support the school budget because of the fact that it addresses some of the key things with the best that they could do with the funding. I'm a parent. I understand about budgeting. I understand the challenges when money is running out. I understand the insecurities that come with not knowing where funding is going to come from. This year, I feel that the district did the best that they could with the funding that was available, where some of the other districts are laying off teachers and laying off other staff. The district was able to absorb some of these other things with the reduction of foundation aid in order to absorb those roles so that we had minimal cuts to employees, that we had minimal impact as much as possible to the students. So I support that because I genuinely believe that they all came to the table, even regardless of how many iterations it took, to be able to come up with a budget that was solid, that took into account the needs of all of the children, and they were able to cover as much as they could. The fact that they were able to cover infrastructure changes, that they were able to try to retain as much staffing as they could, the fact that they were able to address social emotional wellness, the fact that they were able to address special education highlights for me that they genuinely cared about the kids, that they were able to put their differences aside, regardless of what those may be, and that they were able to make the best that they could, again, with what they had. So yes, I do support the budget.
Thanks, Tamara. Gary.
Yeah, I support the proposed school budget. It looks like it's a sound financial plan, right? They're supporting many different things in there. So, the sports, the arts, you know, some of the infrastructure there. It sounds like it's spread out pretty well. You know, some thought went into it. It's also, the capital plan's pretty robust, it seems. Making sure we're addressing some of the needs that need to be addressed before, sooner rather than later, and coming up with a sound plan to better put us in a position in the future. So, you know, again, it's about, you know, creating a plan and then making sure that the plan's executed properly. And, you know, but again, I support the school budget.
Thanks, Gary. Kevin?
I do support the school budget. I think it has several good initiatives built into it. One specifically that I was happy to see was the maintenance capital project, which will budget for things that have predictable lifespans under normal wear and tear. I've seen, you know, before when there hasn't been a plan in place for that, and when, you know, the regular upkeep and replacement of those things that wear out tends to sneak up on an organization, and, you know, some things then have to be cut. There's always going to be surprises, but I think having a plan that you know, takes into account those types of upgrades. Again, we have a long tradition here in West Irondequoit. Part of that tradition is these buildings. And these buildings are not brand new buildings. So there's going to be those things that we need to do, and I think it's very wise to have things like that planned in your budget. Whereas a school district that maybe has some newer buildings may not need to do that. Again, the other educational and performing arts athletics initiatives, you know, I'm happy to see that the support is still there for those, which will keep us moving in the direction we've been moving for many years now.
Thanks, Kevin. Kate?
Yes, I do support the proposed school budget, and I have a lot of notes about why I support it, so I will really try very hard to stay within my time. We have an excellent process for creating a school budget in West Irondequoit, and I'm very glad for the opportunity to talk about why this year's budget is worth supporting. It reflects the thorough and thoughtful work of our Board of Administration over months of incorporating the best available and constantly shifting data on revenue, expenses, staffing, facilities, and other student needs. There are explicit principles that underlie this budget process, including maintaining class sizes, following special education mandates, aligning our curriculum and instructional resources in accordance with our strategic plan. Of course, maintaining a sustainable financial plan that allows us to stay within the tax levy cap, and restoring elements of our budget which were reduced in the past or included in the federal stimulus. Just to pause on this last point, we had 23 positions that were funded by the federal stimulus, and we were able to retain the 16 of those that are still needed by our students, thanks to multi-year planning in our budget process. Another piece of this budget that I'd really like to highlight is the addition of positions to increase our K-6 continuum of services, which means that we are making more special education opportunities available to our students to keep them at or near their community schools, making important progress toward equity and access. Again, this budget accomplishes all of that within the tax levy cap, meeting our fiscal obligations to our community. Moreover, as Kevin noted, I also support the proposed capital project to repair the roof and HVAC at Brookview, which really reflects a smart shift in our strategy around capital projects so that we're making annual identifications of priorities in capital work and proactively addressing those maintenance needs. There's more. We're adding an assistant principal at Rogers, which is great, which addresses some real needs at that school. We're adding a school nurse so that we have full-time school nurses at all of our buildings. We're adding teacher's aide and assistant principal. Now I'm out of time.
Thank you, Kate. Tamara. Oh, you're the last one, sorry. Sorry about that. I lost track of time.
I got nervous there, I was like, I think I'm okay.
We want your second part to that question. Okay, the next question, we're going to begin with Gary. Gary, what are your views on diversity, equity, and inclusion in public schools?
Yeah, I think, you know, diversity, equity, inclusion is important for public schools. Everyone comes from a different background, and I think it supports the, you know, the learning. So it's just understanding that, you know, different people come from different backgrounds, right? And so, you know, it's to stop the bullying, to stop making sure everyone feels included. It's creating a robust learning environment, you know, so that kids from certain backgrounds can learn from other backgrounds, and it's just, you know, it's part of the community we live in these days, and it's great for the kids, it's great for learning, it's great to have different points of opinions, different viewpoints, and you know, it's just great to make them great citizens of, you know, this town, this city, and the world. Thanks.
Thanks, Gary. Kevin?
Diversity, equity, inclusion, I I'm a big supporter of it. I think, like I said before, different perspectives help breed fresh ideas. So, having different, people from different walks of life, different cultures, it adds robustness to, any decision-making process, any educational process. I'm someone that loves learning about other places. I love Epcot because of all the countries that you can go and tour without having to ever leave the United States. So things like that, and I think it's a benefit to a district to have all that diversity and all those different cultures and traditions come together in one place, and it sends our kids off into the world more prepared to interact with people from all over in different walks of life as they proceed through their continuing education and their careers after.
Thanks, Kevin. Kate?
Diversity, equity, and inclusion aren't just good ideas, they're mandates. They're legally mandates, they're mandates from the state, and they're moral mandates. We are public schools. We need to educate all of our children. Our curriculum needs to reflect all of our children, and we need to reflect our community at all of the tables that we're creating. When I was on the strategic planning committee, one of the things that we talked a lot about was how we were going to incorporate diversity, equity, and inclusion into our strategic plan. You'll note that diversity, equity, and inclusion isn't one of our big rocks. It isn't one of the areas that we're focusing on, because it permeates absolutely everything that we do and everything that we have to do in our district. It is one of my whys that I want my children to go to schools that educate everyone, that teach them truly about the community that we live in, that teach them truly about our history and our country and our culture, and that reflects everyone in our community. And it needs to, so that every child that we're educating is receiving that full experience.
Thanks, Kate. Tamara, I'm going to make you answer this question.
Okay, I think I will. Diversity, equity, inclusion is important to me personally. Being a person of color, it's important that my children growing up in the district are able to see themselves. Recently, for Black History Month, we had a teacher at South Lawn who the entire month celebrated by posting pictures and different educational notes about some Black performers and athletes and other notable Black people within our culture. And my daughter was so surprised, and that was actually very disheartening. Diversity and equity is not a buzzword. It's not something that we should be even setting task groups and coalitions about. It should just be something that's embedded in everything that we do. It's important that not only BIPOC students see themselves represented and celebrated, but it's also beneficial to white students as well, that they are seeing and celebrating other cultures as well. In addition, diversity and inclusion is important because of the fact that studies have shown that it helps to reduce behavioral issues, helps to promote positive social and emotional wellness. It also promotes positive environments within the classroom, where when students are seeing themselves or they're celebrating others, that they grow up to actually be adults that are productive in society, that are able to have conversations and communicate, that are able to work with other diverse groups. And so with that, it shouldn't be something that we're even asking questions about. It should just be something that we are embedding in everything that we do, in our curriculum, in our budget, in our programming. Accessibility, diversity, inclusion, having those perspectives, accounting for every single student. If all means all, then that needs to be reflected in everything that we do.
Thanks, Tamara. Okay, for the next question, we'll begin with Kevin. Kevin, what is your definition of academic excellence?
Academic excellence is a program that can be tailored to all students. Students have various academic needs. My son, for instance, is, he gets A's without trying. He doesn't bring homework home because it's already done. He can do most of it in his sleep. It comes naturally to him. My daughter, on the other hand, has to work at it. She has to work hard. So being able to tailor the program to the students' learning needs to make them, get it. And we all know too that there are different types of learners in addition to a person's, academic understanding. I'm a visual learner. Some people are, auditory learners. So having a program that can really key in on students' individual needs and offer the support for them and have, the extras there, the hours after school, the help at the different learning centers. And I mentioned before the special education. As these students of the pandemic continue to grow and they continue to mature, more and more of the effects of that are going to, show themselves. We need to have a program that can adapt to those too and help with some of the social emotional, the academic, and just get them to a point where they can be productive individuals when they leave the school, to go on to college, to go on to the workforce, to go out and have social relationships. So that is what I think academic excellence means.
Thanks, Kevin. Kate, same question.
It's a really interesting question. I'm really intrigued by that question. So the first thing that comes to mind as I try to answer this question is that I'm not an educator. I'm neither a teacher nor someone who is looking at college applications nor someone who is doing hiring of people coming out of high school. And I think that academic excellence is what prepares kids for whatever their dreams are that they can achieve, that pushes them toward, maybe it's that AP test, maybe it's becoming a car mechanic, maybe it's achieving whatever their IEP goal is for this year. I think that if we're going to define academic excellence, that's the kind of question that I want a coalition of people to come together and answer. I want to know what teachers have to say about what academic excellence is. I want to know what our whole community has to say about academic excellence. But to me, academic excellence is what drives people to West Irondequoit. I might not be able to find it, but I know that we have it here. And I know that it is a shifting target. As I said, our world is changing. I don't know what jobs are going to be available for my kids. I don't know what that world is going to look like. But I know that that is something that we're continuing to build here, and that's a question that I want to continue to ask people and continue to try to answer.
Thank you. Tamara.
For me, academic excellence is creating programming that pushes kids. It actually encourages them to reach a little bit higher, whether that be through AP courses or just even the next grade level of content. It's supporting kids with special education IEPs. Academic excellence to me looks like my daughter going from a 24 to a 42 in her fluency. Academic excellence to me looks like a 2004 IHS graduate now running for school board. Academic excellence to me means that there are children who are pushing themselves, my nephew at IHS getting ready to prepare for AP classes. That is what academic excellence looks like. It's supporting kids wherever stage that they're at and making sure that we're supporting them with their goals. It's setting them up for education on what's next. So once they leave IHS, what else is there out there besides college? It's starting at the pre-K level, as we're doing this year, this upcoming school year, and getting to work with the kids at a lower level, getting their education started early so that they can come into the school district ready and thirsty to learn and grow in their curriculum, in their education. Academic excellence to me looks like creating programming that parents can be involved in so that the education doesn't just stop when the school year ends, that it can carry into the summer to support your children. So for me, academic excellence is just creating spaces and programming where parents, teachers, other educators can work together to make sure that we are creating spaces for children to be able to achieve all of their goals, to be able to be productive in society, to be able to look beyond the walls of each of these school buildings and be able to see a future for themselves that is productive, that is thoughtful, and that is what they want to do.
Thanks, Tamara. Gary?
Yeah, I think academic excellence is making sure that each kid gets a quality education, right? And Kevin touched on it. I got 4 kids, right? So I got some that'll don't bring home any homework, and they're getting straight A's, and the other ones need some support. So it's making sure that every kid gets the opportunity to get a quality education, a great education, and I think we do a good job of this at West Irondequoit. I deal with the Copeland school a lot, and they're nothing but supportive of my kids and the other kids too. So it's making sure that everyone has an opportunity to learn, to be the best they can, and then they get the support functions there. And if they're struggling, it's making sure that they get the proper support to move them forward and get the best possible education they can get. And that's going to prepare them, and I tell my kids that too. It gives them options, right? If they want to go to college, they can. If they don't want to go to college, they don't have to. But it gives them options, and it gives them, makes them better citizens. It makes them, better employees in the workforce, better people, treating other people with respect, dignity. So, just making sure that they have a quality education, that they have access to that. It's very important. So, that's what I believe academic excellence is.
Thanks, Gary. Okay, the next question, we're going to begin with Kate. What is one thing you believe West Irondequoit does well that you would continue to support? And what is one thing you believe West Irondequoit could improve upon, and how would you work with the Board of Education to support that effort?
There are so many things. The first thing that comes to mind in things that West Irondequoit does well that I would continue to support is our music program. It's really just amazing, and maybe that's too specific, but my son is in 5th grade. He plays the saxophone, and he's been in chorus since last year. We got to go to the jazz band concert last year or a couple weeks ago that starts with the jazz bands from Iroquois and Rogers, and then we have the jazz band from Dake and from the high school. And first of all, I was blown away by the quality of our middle school jazz bands, and then you hear Dake and you hear the high school, and it's just unbelievable. And the support that the district provides for that music program, the support that our families provide for that music program. I think that one of the great things about our music program is that it is really clear how families can participate in that by supporting their kids, by bringing them to those band rehearsals before school, by helping them practice at home. It's really just outstanding, like also the ensembles and the different opportunities that we have at Dake and the high school, and the really professional quality of our students coming out of that program, and also our performing arts in general, our musicals and plays. Okay, I have to come up with another one. Something that I think our district could do better. I'll touch back on what I was talking about restorative practices. I think that we have a lot of work to do in terms of building out the community foundation that underlies restorative practices so that those are the foundation that they can be for student safety and for belonging in our student community. It's a path that we have gone down that is the right path, but there's more work to build it out.
Thanks, Kate. Tamara, same question.
So, out of many, one thing that I think that our district does really well is helping to support programming that encourages kids to think beyond the classroom. So whether that be through Odyssey of the Mind, whether that be through DECA, we recently just had our Lilac Conference where we partnered with Nazareth University to promote leadership skills at all levels, from 1st grade all the way up through high school. I love that we are invested in making sure that we are creating kids that are not just earning a diploma and that's it, that they're actually learning and building on life skills that are going to be beneficial for them regardless of where they go after high school. One thing that I think that we could do better with, and I'm looking forward to partnering with the school board on, is teacher diversity and retention. I do think that West Irondequoit does have an outstanding, we have excellence with our education. I think that there's no question there with the education that students are going to come and get here, but I also know that we have opportunities with teacher diversity specifically, and then the retention of great teachers. 5 minutes up the road, our counterpart East Irondequoit definitely has a more diverse teacher pool, and I realize that they also have their own challenges, but what I love is that there is no lack of celebration of the diversity there, and some of it, I love that the students can walk in and that they can see themselves, and so with that, I think that we definitely have opportunities there, but I know also that the district is committed to investing in that, whether that be through partnerships with local programs or other, learning from other administrations from other districts. So with that, I would love to just help to foster where we can learn more about the diversity, get more diverse teachers in there, but also what do we need to do to retain them, whether that be through professional development, salaries, whatever the case may be, exploring what teachers are actually needing to, good teachers, great teachers are needing to stay in the district.
Thank you, Tamara. Gary, same question.
Yeah, I think, West Irondequoit's a great school district. They do a lot of things well, most things well, right? But I think one of the things that they do well is supporting the kids. And like I said, I've seen it firsthand, dealing with my children out of Colebrook. They care about the kids. They're doing everything they can to move the kids forward, get them the best education they can, and when the kids have issues or problems, they're there, they support them, they care. And it's using those robust programs that they have in place and implementing them, working with the parents, working with outside resources, working with, sometimes we go to parent-teacher conferences, and it's like we got the parents are there, and then there's like 10 people from the school district all supporting one of my children. So that's great to see, and it's great to see that they want to see everyone succeed. Something that West Irondequoit can improve on, and I don't think they're doing it, I think they're doing a good job at it, but it's like, it's my view from work, it's, you can always improve on the finances. It's just looking at where we're spending it, seeing what was successful, what wasn't successful, and like I said, it's just auditing it, seeing what went well, where do you want to spend it next year, it's like doing that at your house, what did you spend on, what did you waste money on? It's just making sure that you're getting the biggest bang for your buck. And I'm used to doing that at work, like I said. We, after projects, after we create a budget, did it work, did it not work, it's all with the best intentions. And like I said, West Irondequoit's doing a really good job with everything. It's just, that's an area that it's always going to be improved, right? Thanks.
Thanks, Gary. And Kevin?
Everybody said it. West Irondequoit does so much, so many things well. But the opportunities that West Irondequoit offers, there's the skilled trades, maintenance, building construction. There's the partnership with BOCES through the Foreman Center for other, again, building trades, but there's also criminal justice there. There's culinary arts. There's, cosmetology. There's all different things there that people can explore. And then, you've got clubs, DECA, there's, I'm trying to think of some of the other ones that my kids are on. The Snow Sports Club, the DC trip, the 8th graders just went to DC, which is a huge thing. And then the sports, my kids are somehow got fairly athletic, not for me, but my son, when he got to Dake, he was, introduced to new opportunities for, baseball, football, and he started exploring other sports other than the ones he, tried before when he was younger. Same with my daughter. She's looking forward to coming to Dake and trying new sports that she hasn't had an opportunity to do with. So to have those, different things for every student is great. But for the improvement part of it, I think that there is room to maybe expand that sports program to the younger students. Partnerships through some of the, Irondequoit Junior Eagles and the Irondequoit Lacrosse and Irondequoit Soccer Club, things like that. Those young kids that are learning those sports at young ages are who are going to be playing for Irondequoit High School someday. And I think expanding the partnership with those organizations and supporting those organizations in the community to help foster that growth would be a good area to look at improvement. Thank you.
Thanks, Kevin. Okay, our final question will begin with Tamara. If elected, Tamara, what new direction, if any, would you like the school board to take?
If elected, the new direction that I would like to see the school board take is to make things like running for school board or participating in different district coalitions more accessible for parents. I'm very excited to hopefully be a part of the board, but I also can't help but feel strongly about the fact that in its more than 7-year inception, we potentially only had 2 people of color on the board. I'm looking forward to, actually, so to take it a little bit further, a lot of times, it's very disheartening to be the only person of color at the table for PTSA meetings. We recently had a family night at South Lawn, and there were 2 parents of color in that space. And so what I'm looking forward to is being a part of providing a different perspective. As a mother of young kids, I understand the restrictions that can come from lack of childcare. I understand the impacts of not having funding to be able to attend some of the events. I understand what it means to not have the time when you're working and then have to try to get kids together and try to make time in your evening to attend a 6:30 family night. So what I'm looking forward to is adding that additional perspective so that as we are thinking about the best ways to support our families and our kids, as we're thinking about the best ways to get parent involvement, as we're thinking about the best ways to spend our funding on things that we could do, that it's promoting different things that would allow for more children to have access to it, more parents to be able to be involved, whether that be providing childcare for open houses, or whatever the case may be. I'm just looking forward to having that extra added influence there and perspective, and also having small children. I'm looking forward to also being able to speak from the pre-K side of it as well, so that we have that added perspective now that we have that there, of the impacts of not having pre-K, or not having enough classroom spaces, not having enough, having to try to coordinate other care for your children that are getting ready to come into the district.
Thanks, Tamara. Gary?
Can you repeat the question again? Sorry.
Yes. If elected, what new direction, if any, would you like the school board to take?
Yeah, I don't think, I like what the school board's doing. They're doing a great job, so I don't know if there's any new direction I would have them take if elected. I think I would, me personally, I'd get to know what they're doing now, understanding the challenges that they have now, and working with the existing school board members and whoever else is elected to improve on the existing, direction, initiatives, things like that. And then if something pops up, figure that out as it comes. But, I think the school board's doing a good job. I think everyone, like we've all been saying, West Ronnequoit's a great school district. So it's just making sure that we continue to be a great school district, that we, continue to educate the kids, create a safe learning environment. And I think we're doing that. And it's just making sure that we continue to do that and, continue to succeed at that, put the kids in the best possible position, for after school, whether they go to college, work in the industry, whatever they want to do, but just making them good citizens, give them the best possible opportunities.
Thanks, Gary. Kevin?
I think involvement in partnerships with the community. I already mentioned, possibly, the more close involvement with some of the youth sports clubs that are in Irondequoit already, but also internal partnerships with faculty and staff. And I think, building a working relationship with them so that it's not 2 separate bodies trying to move in the same direction. I think getting the perspective of staff and knowing the day-to-day operation and seeing the challenges that they experience would help to the board to make decisions that would help support them. We talk all about wanting to hire and retain and support the students. We have to support the staff too, and I think that the board has done that. But I think there's definitely a room for partnerships, and I would like to try to move in that direction. Thank you.
Kevin. Kate?
I agree with the direction that our board is moving and that our school district is moving. We have a smart strategic plan that reflects the views of a large part of our community, but I really want us to listen to what Tamara is saying. It is really key that we bring our diverse community in to lend their voice to our next strategic plan that we'll be writing in 2 years, that we have space for families and for leaders who don't look like the leadership that we've always had. I think that we're moving in such a great direction. Our schools are getting better and better at serving our students, at serving our whole community. But we can't continue in that direction without bringing diverse voices to the table.
Thanks, Kate. Okay, so that is the final question for the evening. So we're going to move into the closing statements. Each candidate will now be able to make a closing statement of not more than 2 minutes. Those summations will be made in ballot order. So again, Gary will be beginning with you. So you can begin with your closing statement.
Yeah, I appreciate the opportunity, for consideration for school board. Like I said, I got 4 kids in the school district. I'm vested in the education of them and the other students. And where the strengths of my, education and my background and what I do for a living is, capital planning. It's a large capital plan. It's doing the facilities, the maintenance, building expansions, groundskeeping, strategic planning for 5 years. And then also working with the other diverse members of our leadership group at, work. And coming up with plans on how to run the budgets, where to spend training money, how to do that. So it's a sound financial plan. Keeping in mind that, education is a top priority with the school district. And just, making sure that we spend the funds wisely and, we get the biggest bang for our buck that put the children in the opportunity to succeed and, get a strong academic education in West Irondequoit. So again, I think everyone up here has got the right ideas in the school board, and everyone's here to help, the children and, make West Irondequoit continue to be a great place to send your kids to school. Great school district, great teachers. Nothing but my experience with the schools, and I get nothing but support from the teachers, the principals. So, it's a great place to be, and I'm just hoping to help contribute, if elected. So I appreciate your support. Thank you.
Thanks, Gary. Kevin?
I've said it many times tonight, the tradition of excellence in West Irondequoit, and I, have been steeped in that excellence and that pride in who we are as a community and who we are as a district. If I'm elected, I hope to contribute, to moving that forward into tomorrow. The world's an ever-changing place. We need to change with the times, and I think I have the ability to help this district and this community make those changes so that we continue to be, one of the leading school districts in the nation. Thank you.
Kate?
Thank you, Mrs. Thomas, for your continued support of this event, and thank you to the West Irondequoit PTSA and the folks who had to step in and run this event so that I could be on this side of the table. Thank you to everyone who came out here tonight and who's watching the recording to engage with this important process. I didn't know it at the time, but I've spent the greater part of the last several years preparing to be on the West Irondequoit Board of Education. Really, I've just been working as hard as I can to represent the voices of families and make things better for our students. More inclusive, more academically challenging, more supportive, more welcoming. As I noted in my opening statement, I've worked with administrators and teachers in the district on important issues like our strategic planning process, diversity, equity, and inclusion, and family engagement in areas like homework policy and restorative practices. I've learned so much about advocating for our students and for listening to voices that are different than mine. As PTSA president and in my children's school buildings, I've worked tirelessly, well, maybe not tirelessly, but relentlessly, to build up the community of families to better support our students, and I'll bring that same enthusiasm and commitment to the Board of Education. I think about the 2 defining phrases as I see them of our district, all means all and peak performance. These ideas are so everyday, they're just see them everywhere, but they're so powerful. Our commitment to do our best so that each student embodies that idea of peak performance, reaching the summit of their talents and abilities, and our commitment to do better so that we can take an honest look about whether all really includes our children of color, our children with disabilities, English language learners, and our students living in poverty. And we do the work that it takes to embody that all means all. I would be honored for this opportunity to work toward the success of our entire school community on the Board of Education.
Thanks, Kate. Tamara?
So, as everyone else up here did, I do want to thank everyone who's in attendance here, and I want to thank everyone that's watching for your consideration. I agree that this is a very important part of the process. I also want to thank my village that's here today, because they often create the space for me to be able to even consider running for school board. I want to thank the district that poured into me as an awkward 7th grader, and that allowed me to grow up and believe that I could even sit at these tables again. This is my 2nd time running for school board, so obviously I'm very committed. But what I look forward to most is being able to not only provide a different perspective, but Still being able to be a part of the district, even if this is not for me right now. I'm still going to be an active parent. You're still going to see me around South Lawn at our events. You'll still see me in the PTSA. After this, I'm going to go home and feed my kids and read them books. So I'm just going to still be myself. I am committed to making sure that all means all, regardless if it's sitting at the table or not, even though I would love that. And I thank you for everyone that hopefully will be voting for me. But my commitment to education, my commitment to academic excellence, my commitment to this district does not change from an election. I'm extremely committed to just making sure that we have as much representation at the tables as possible. I will still continue to encourage people to join different coalitions or different groups. I will continue to leverage my professional expertise in conversations. And if coming to the board, I'm also looking forward to being able to pay it forward. I had a lot of people within the district who poured into me, who saw things in me that I didn't see myself, who showed me that I was a leader. So I'm looking forward to being able to leverage those leadership skills to help bring the district into 2024, help push initiatives that are important to the professional and academic growth of our children, and more importantly, I'm excited to be able to highlight why I am a parent leader.
Thank you. So that concludes our program for this evening. I need to thank all of the candidates sitting before you this evening and your willingness to serve your community in this capacity. It's been my pleasure to moderate this evening, and at this point I'm going to turn it back to Erica King for more details about the actual budget vote and school board election. Thank you.
Well, I just have to say I'm blown away by all of your responses. I mean, as a parent in West Irondequoit, it really just doesn't get much better than this. I thought your responses were just amazing, and it really just makes me proud to hear you guys tonight and to know some of you very well, and hopefully get to know you guys in the future as our kids go up through, because this is what makes West Irondequoit who we are, and it makes us better. So thank you very much. I also just want to really thank Amy Thomas for moderating this event. We really appreciate you year after year. Jeff DeVeronica and his staff for doing everything that they do to make this event possible. This recording will be posted on our website for everybody to hear and to replay back time and time again. Our vote will be on Tuesday, May 21st at the St. Paul Fire Department from 6 a.m. to 9 p.m. And also, if you are hungry that night, we will have food trucks at the high school. Okay. From 3 to 8 p.m. you can get some tacos from Bay Vista and some ice cream from Nexon's. So we hope you will come out. The absentee ballot information is available on our school district website, along with the candidates' information and their contact information. Thank you, everybody, for coming out tonight, and we hope you have a wonderful night.